Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome. Today we are talking about Miracle Hero Izuku Midoriya. Now, I've definitely talked about this fanfiction before, but like in another video, but like briefly, and didn't really like. I think it was like an overview, but also I can do whatever I want, so I'm making a video on it. So obviously, it's about Izuku getting the Miraculous. So he ends up finding, I can't remember. Is it Fu? I'm pretty sure it's Master Fu. Jesus Christ. But he ends up finding him, right? And he's thinking he should call the police because he's in an alleyway. He's got a knife still in him, right? He's clearly bleeding out. And he's about to call the ambulance. But obviously he stops him because it's like, no, I'm dying anyway. So it's like, so he gives him the box. He pleads with him to take the box and, like, if you can trust him and if, that no one could ever know of his best friend, his family, no one. And Izuku like sees this for like what it is. Like this is clearly this is this dying man's last wish. And, he's determined to really fulfill that for him. So of course. So he ends up, obviously he explains like he transfers guardianship over to him. He explains that, his memories will be gone. Not that it'll matter, he'll be dead. And so after he transferred guardianship, the box looks green and has like some gold outline. And it looks like one of the jewelry boxes his mother has. So, but he dies, obviously. And then, people are coming. So Izuku quickly ducks behind the alleyway because it's clear that these people like are searching. And, Izuku's panicking. He's like, because it's clear these people are searching for the box because they were searching him, his body, and like they were looking for it. And like, well, he ran 4 blocks away, go search the other blocks, right? So it's clear they really want this box. So he's panicking. He's like, should I tell the police? He's like, but no, it's clear they're looking for it. So like, what if there's like spy, like, or moles in the police? It's like, I can't tell anyone. It's like, what am I gonna do? So he's like, okay, first things first, gotta get home. Home's safe. It's the safest you'll ever be. So he ends up getting home and obviously opening a box. All the Kwamis come out. They're excited. Well, Dusu's excited. And he's immediately off wandering around, playing with Izuku's like figures and noodles behind them. You're like, come back. We shouldn't be playing around right now. And so, the other Kwamis are, Sasha's like kind of scolding them, and the others are, just kind of somewhat calmly, because they're excited to be in a new place and out and about. But Sass is thinking like, oh, I'm sorry, like, you must be a new guardian. It's like, I'm sorry. And Izuku doesn't completely know what they're talking about. He's like, new guardian. He's like, didn't the old one train you? Izuku obviously thinking about the old man. He's like, oh, I am so sorry to say that he is gone now because they got rid of his body. So he's like, oh, so that kind of immediately kind of sombers the mood until they're all kind of realize the situation they're in is that they were given to Izuku because literally no other choice, and he's dead now. But they all kind of introduce themselves with Dusu off in the background dancing with an All Might figure because okay, and they explain their Kwamis, their concept, whatever, basically gods, whatever, and Izuku's immediately off like, oh my god, you give people powers? Like, there's no way. It's like, but then there are rumors about like, oh, getting powers, but like people were like speculating, oh, you would have to sell your soul, maybe it was a government experiment or whatever. And so he's like, oh, it makes sense. Like, they would be, people sought after, like people would want it, and why wouldn't they? And he wants so badly to write it down, but obviously it's supposed to be a secret, so like, shouldn't do that. So he does have the book though, but obviously back to square one because the Kwamis say like, yeah, we don't understand anything in it, like we're not allowed to. So, and they can't really. The only other person who understands it's like, well, there's someone in Tibet, in the temple who would understand it. But, and like, because he could use Kalki to get there. But because he's never personally been there, obviously that wouldn't really work. So, kind of back to square one of figuring stuff out on their own. And I do like how they're all, because they do recognize the situation they're in, right? Master Food, like they're all supportive of Izuku because Master Food, he's dead now, right? And he was given to this kid who has no idea what's going on, taking this somewhat well, freaking out about it, but still taking this better. And he's just like a kid, like he's like 15, like he doesn't know, kind of the same as like their other holders. So like he doesn't, well, I say other holders, Marinette and Adrian, right? So like, except they weren't just kind of thrust like, here's the, in this one at least, here's the box, right? So he's really at a loss. So I do like how they are kind of there and encouraging for him. They do tell him of like the past and like their past holders, so he has like an idea, especially since like because it's been so long, right? And their latest holders, which to them obviously because they're immortal, and but for everyone else because he looks up the lady blog, right? And that was 180 years ago. So nice. They're considered vigilantes, obviously, because soon after, like not long after the hero system kind of took in place, so they're considered vigilantes, but still they're, you know, have them to thank. And like Sun Wukong. And so this is when, he's like, oh my god, Eternity West is real? Like that was real? And so he even looks at the Miraculous thinking, it's like, how is any of this, like, how is this easy to hide? And then he picks up the Monkey Miraculous, which is the first one he ever transforms with. And, it immediately transforms to just like a headband, like a black headband, because camouflage mode. So this is easy kind of getting used to and learning of what they're sharing with him. They draw lots, to see who gets to stick with Izuku, because they're all taking turns, right, of which Miraculous Izuku is going to wear, and if a situation ever comes up, he uses them to transform. The first being Fluff. So great. And they obviously want to go to school with him. Izuku's like, oh, that's because he's almost trying to talk them out of it, right? And they don't know why in the beginning, because obviously he gets bullied at school, and he doesn't really want to say that. But, he kind of tries to talk them out of it at first, because, well, wouldn't it be safer? He's like, yeah, we also have to, like, protect you. So, it doesn't work. So he ends up going to school with all of them there. The box is obviously like they took precautions, so it's in his bag, but it's also like protected. And he has Fluff perfectly tucked away. Now let's go to Miraculous. And so this is them finding out this is why he didn't want them to see, that he's being bullied. And obviously they're outraged because it's like, but they're barbaric. Like Kalki is just, they're horrible. They're absolutely terrible. And so obviously they can't really do anything to like reveal themselves, but they can absolutely play pranks on them, like attaching. What was it? They attached his backpack to the chair so he would just fall down completely with it. So they might not be able to like interfere in terms of like normal means, but they can absolutely prank the others while also providing like a distraction for Izuku to slip away, so that he doesn't have to deal with them like when he's going home, like on his way home. Obviously, Katsuki, like for whatever reason, wants the confrontation to happen, so they end up causing a distraction, so he can't get to him at all. Which, on the way home, oh my god, surprise! They ran into a situation where someone, oh, if only there was a hero. So, he ends up using Fluff. And I mean, in this one, I think I've read one other fanfiction. There are probably plenty of others too, but where they don't have Fluff's power being to go through time. Seems so overpowered, but they instead have it where it's because some of them, like, I do remember, was that the Spite playlist? I think it was, where they made it so they could borrow and make little portals, but only really it's like a smaller scale version of Kalki's powers, where they could only portal to like places they could see and not really anywhere else. But in this one, their powers are like hopping, so like they're speeding themselves up, right? Because sure, bunny, fast, okay. And so I do like how they do give like a visual representation of what these crew look like transformed with the bunny Miraculous. But mugging happens, so he ends up interfering, and he he's like, oh my god, I did it. I was a hero, and I was like, please for coming. So he's gotta bounce, and he does, because he's like, oh, what's the person? It's like, what's your name? It's like Hot Glass, like because in this one he feels confident that he does feel like he's not Deku. He's more than that. He's actually a hero now, and so this is like his first time truly transforming and using the Miraculous, because Monkey Miraculous doesn't count. For like the rest of the week of like the school week, they constantly do that. They constantly pull pranks and do it. So like Izuku doesn't have to deal with any of that. And at that point, I was say Dusu, not Dusu. Well, yeah, Dusu is. It's like, which one is it again? Dusu. Dusu is like, he's the one who's like, even with Hawkmoth, like, feeling his emotions and everything, it was never just anger. But with Katsuki, it's like raw. It's like, it's all anger. And the others are like, ooh, should we worry about that? Like, I don't, that's not healthy. But he ended up that day, he's wearing the Be Miraculous. And he didn't really wear it to school. He had it like in his pocket because he was scared it was gonna get like lifted off of him because, bullying. But he ends up wearing it. And that night when he goes patrolling, because at night, best vigilantes, not great for daytime, that's when they kind of run into trouble. At first, obviously, Dusu is also with him. He's not supposed to be, but he's like, it's better when fly with someone else. Like, it'll be fun. And so it's like, great. So Dusu's there, and they run into some trouble. Dusu ends up taking him to a warehouse because he senses some magic. And what does that even mean? So obviously, they see a guy, right? He's got someone tied up in a chair in like a magic circle. He ends up doing some sort of ritual, and it turns this guy into like a corrupted, disgusting creature. And they're like, oh no, this is bad. And so, obviously it was a bust. The magic circle didn't go right, and they just kind of leave it there. So Izuku obviously has ended up cleaning their mess. And so he distracts it while Dusu goes over to the magic circle to see what it is, to maybe possibly reverse effects, because that is still like a person. And it draws from the Kwamis' powers of like creation, destruction, and transmission. So they're like, oh, we have to do something. And we have to like get him to like reverse it, to get him back in circle and reverse it. And I don't know if they completely redid Pollen's power or if this is just like an upgrade, kind of like in, what is it, Scarlet Lady? Not necessarily in like with B-Bomb, that's different, but she did like a thing where she's like, if she gave Chloe like an upgrade, like if she still had to be miraculous, if she gave her an upgrade, it would be not Venom, I don't remember what it's called now, but it's basically just mind control over someone. So that's what this is. I don't know if it's like a complete redo of it or if it's just like an alt power to it as well. I don't know. But they're able to, Izuku's able to, I don't know, I was gonna say stab him with it. I mean, technically, sure, to stab him with it, and he orders him to, stop trying to kill me, and to fall asleep for a bit while he detransforms, and Pollen and Dusu end up kind of reversing the effects. So now he's a normal person, and they end up going home. They ditch it before the police come, so they end up going home and they tell the rest of the Kwamis, and they're like, oh, this is bad. Like, someone clearly is using spells, like, from, like their spells. Obviously not correctly, because, they don't completely know, which is, like, they don't even know either, but someone is very clearly using spells. So they decide to investigate a bit. It's dangerous, but they should at least check it out because obviously they're clearly trying to do something not great. Like they're kidnapping people and using it. Like they're obviously up to no good. So like, time to investigate discreetly, of course. By this point, he's had like some rumors spread about like his vigilante self and how, I mean, to him it feels good because like the first person he ever saved as like having the top class, even said, he came out to say like, oh yeah, I'm very grateful to him and that, like, and that was like all he needed. Like he felt great, accomplished, that he really was making a difference in saving people. But by this point, it's kind of spread that a vigilante group of animal themed people because I'm, there's no way everyone just has like, all these quirks, right? So, and obviously different outfit each time. So, just a group of animal themed vigilantes. And it makes it easier for Izuku to obviously hide his identity because, yes, they're definitely just 15 different people. Definitely not one person. But so he ends up going out because their investigation is still going. But at this point, it's been like 3 weeks and they've kind of hit dead end and can't really find anything. But they end up coming across a different situation. Kalki's with them this time instead of Dusu, right? He's wearing the cat Miraculous, but he has Kalki with him this time because you sense anything, but it's been 3 weeks at this point, so no sensing of magic. But they run into like a different situation, nothing to do with the other one. But still a group of villains to take down, so it's like, okay, sure, why not? And then he ends up running into because Kalki hides and he ends up running into, Eraserhead, and he's like, ooh, wait, mistaken for a villain for a second, but they got it under control. And he ends up using black yarn, which ends up, he throws it, and it ends up like, it's like shadows, and it weakens his enemies. But he still ends up using Cataclysm later on. So it's why I'm like, I think there's like, these are like secondary powers, which I'm all here for. But it's why I'm like, I think these are secondary powers along with like the main one that we know, right? Because he still uses Cataclysm later when defeating one of them. But so they end up taking it down, and he ends up, because police are coming, so he ends up, oh, I have to go, and leaves Yorshiro to kind of clean up the little tidbits of one or two villains. And because the entire time he made puns throughout of it, so he can't help but roll his eyes at him because he's like, oh my god, a problem child. I hate this. Like, he's like, this is definitely not the last time I'm gonna deal with you. I can already see it. I do like the direction that this fanfiction took, like this in where Izuku is going to crime school because he doesn't really know what he wants to do himself, and he thinks, well, maybe this might help, right? And because he can't really be he's a hero, right? The Kwamis already fulfilled that for him, and he can't really go to UA and like register like the Miraculous because like that's unhinged, so he can't really do that. So what's he gonna do with himself? He doesn't know. So going to cram school would help that. And in cram school, he meets Shoto. So, and they end up getting paired together. And it starts off, kind of, their first kind of meeting, like of talking together. It's kind of cute. And the Kwamis kind of started to notice something. They're like, it's like, oh, it's like, it's like, well, like in ways it's like, oh, at least you're able to talk to him. And, Tiki and Plag can't really say anything because they're like, yeah, that was bad. So it's like, at least he's able to talk to him. And as it goes further, like at one moment where he isn't as lucky, and he really does end up getting hurt by Katsuki, which is very unfortunate, because the Kwamis are upset, because like getting physically assaulted should not be anyone's like normal day to day. And Shota ends up fighting him, and obviously he's got burn marks, so he uses like a little bit of ice to kind of help cool it down. And he's like, oh, this is great, like it feels nice. And throughout that like throughout this entire time, like in cram school, they do end up becoming friends, but it's just never said out loud because Izuku obviously is hesitant. He doesn't want to like ruin that. It's fragile, and Shoto has no idea what he's like. Are we? I don't know. So it's very like it's they are, but it's not really said out loud until he finally does say it, right? Because we're getting the recreation of the umbrella scene. So Izuku's there because it's raining. Does an umbrella, and Shoto's just like on his bluntness, just like, oh, okay, you can have mine. And Izuku does ask, it's like, why do this? And obviously Shoto's like, well, I want to be a hero, and just ignore you wouldn't be very heroic. And also because, we're kind of friends. And he immediately starts crying. Because, of course, Izuku starts crying. And, Shoto's like, oh, no, did I do something? But no, he's like, thank you. Like, he's like, thank you. I got crying. Because it's like, it's never been voiced before. When I was voiced out loud, like, yes, you are friends. You do mean a lot to each other. And with that, Dusu obviously being able to feel feelings. It's like, oh my god, it's like, I'm so glad that you found someone you like. And Izuku's just like, yeah, I mean, he's nice. Not really understanding it till the others like take that literally. Like, it's like, oh, but it doesn't mean anything. I mean, like, we're all just really interested in romance drama. It's like, what are we talking about? It's like, we're all just really interested in romance drama. He's like, no, no. So Izuku trying to like deny. He's like, no, no. I mean, I'm not like into. Like, he's cute. Like, I'm not into him. Izuku ends up saving he ends up meeting and saving Shinso, and so he ends up meeting him. And then because he was being bullied, and so he saves him as like himself, not necessarily anyone else, just himself. And they through that, because it's almost like not a flashback, but it's kind of like a montage. Like through that, like we can see like, okay, they became friends through this, and because they meet later, and they're like not later in that like, but sometime like days after, they're clearly friends in like a cat cafe. And they're clearly became friends to this, and this is where we learn also like he's thinking about like becoming like something of like a court counselor. And because he really, he's like, oh, I thought I would be a hero, but it's like, oh, becoming like a court counselor would be like, because plenty of people need like help with their quirks, and there's really no such thing as like having an evil quirk that's like something that affects your personality. So plenty of people need help, but then just don't get it, and they end up going down the wrong path. So now, at least now, I'm kind of figure out where we're going with terms of what Izuku's gonna like become. I'm here for it, but then we get the cat. His name is Top, right? The owner is named Top, and he's there because Izuku had seen this cat earlier. He didn't really think of it. It's a cat, and he sees the cat again. He's like, oh, like in the cat cafe. And then again when he goes home and like, oh, a knock on his window, and he's like, what is this? You mean with some Romeo and Juliet style? What's going on here? And it's the cat. And then he's like, yes, it's me. It's like, oh my god, the cat's talking back. What is happening right now? And then it turns out like this is related to the case that they're like investigating, right? With the magic circle, the dude siphoning magic and turning people to like weird monsters. Because this cat, his name is Felix. Okay, listen. Okay, is this the Felix from? I don't know, but a lot of crossovers are happening in this. Right, X-Men exist in his universe. Okay, because like in America, like, oh yeah, Xavier has a school. Okay, so back to he's like his name's Felix. Don't know if actual Felix Rex Ladybug or completely unrelated. Don't know yet. But he was turned into a cat by his friends so he could escape through the vents because they were both captured by the same person who was turning, that dude into a monster and doing all this. And so they're like, oh shit, like, okay. They're like, yeah, he kept coming, so he basically kept going back to Felix, because Felix had, like, plenty of magic. Kept going back to him, siphoning magic. So clearly, whatever this guy's doing is not great. He also went back into, like, the warehouse, right? I mean, he was dressed up as, like, the butterfly, right? His butterfly mask on this time, barks with him. And he went back to the warehouse just to see, like, okay, scope out, maybe get some clues, because it had been a little bit since, at that point, the police had done everything they could. They kind of ran into a dead end. And then he saw Aizawa again, and it's like, uh-oh, no. And Aizawa is like, immediately, like, he tried using, so they asked each other questions, but he quickly kind of says out, like, oh, whatever this is isn't really, like, a quirk. Because he, before he revealed himself, he did try using his on him. None really happened. And so he's like, well, I can't really tell you. And so I was just kind of okay with that, because he's not really going to ruin, like, what start, like, a fight. He's not really going to ruin that, like, to get more information. So of course he's going to be like, okay, sure. Problem child number 2. Because again, they're all thinking these are, like, different people, and these aren't, like, the same. So he's like, oh, you're friends of, like, what, I forgot, Mankai or whatever he said his name was in Cat Max form. So he's like, okay, these are all children. The last chapter has Izuku helping Aizawa with, like, a drug bust. I mean, it also has, like, a bunch of, like, fluff in it, like cute moments with Todoroki. But one of the main things that happens is him helping Aizawa with a drug bust. But he does it with the butterfly Marcus, because he doesn't really trust Aizawa, which, fair. So he's staying a safe distance. So he's in his room, so I'll say akumatized, but that would be, like, the evil version. So what, I don't know. He's like, my champion. I don't know what you call it, but akumatized, I don't know. But he ends up giving him, and obviously I was, like, surprised by this, because, like, a butterfly just came to him and melted into his scarf. So it's like, what is this? And he's like, oh yeah, my power is to, he's no quirk, whatever. They don't really talk about it. But he's like, oh yeah, my power is to give other people's powers. And he's like, he just short circuits. He's like, what the fuck are you talking? I'm sorry, what? Your power is to give any power. Okay. And so he's like, oh god, you can never fall enhance villains. This would be terrible. And so he ends up transforming him, because, like, he's, like, getting his own, right? Transforming him so he's able to blend into, like, shadows, right? And he gave him ears. He's like, did you give me cat ears? Like, oh yeah, I based you off like a panther. And he's like, oh my god, they can never see this. Like, no one can ever know this. So I mean, he ends up taking them down. Everything kind of goes well. And then he ends up, he's like, okay. They end up having, like, a brief conversation. It's like, yeah, you did well. It's like, it wasn't that hard. It's like a nice word, like, problem child number 19. It's like, I'm sorry, what? It's like, you're a problem child. There's nothing to it. It's like, okay, sorry. But at the end, we see when Aizawa goes home, first off, cat named Fuzzinator. I'm sorry. Why? Okay. But he goes home, and we see, like, he opens, like his files on them, because he's keeping track of it. And then he has numbers for how, like, kind of dangerous they would be, right, in the personal traits and what their powers are. So he goes home, and it's like, he had him at 1 at first. Now he's a 0, because it's like, there doesn't seem to be a limit. There's, like, you just give him any power. What is this? And so he's, like, having a crisis over this. He's like, oh my god, this is terrible. None of them could fall into the hands of villains. And he, like, for a second contemplates getting Nezu involved, because he's like, on one hand, this might progress the case a little bit further. On the other, we all might be, like, a civilization just doomed. And you know what? Maybe that isn't worth it. So I will say this hasn't been, like, it's 7 chapters, so it hasn't been updated in, like, what has been updated since 2022. But they have been active, and I say this as in, like, literally, like, 2 weeks ago, as, like, from recording this, 2 weeks ago, they updated like another one of their books. So maybe we'll get updated, maybe we won't. I don't know. I kind of thought that earlier about another book that I was reading. It's another Miraculous fanfic that I'll probably do a video on. But that fanfic hadn't been updated for like 3 years. And then not like a week ago it was updated. They're like, oh, I didn't. And I was originally thinking, oh, it'll probably them coming back to be like, I'm discontinuing this book. No, it's a chapter, and like in the author's note, they were like, I don't even remember fully what they said, but they're like, oh, I didn't expect to take this like 3 year hiatus, and how they were dealing with helping a friend with a stalker or something. And I'm like, first of all, can I just say, fanfic authors, are you okay? What are you going through? Every time I turn around, you take like 2 months hiatus or whatever, and you come back. It's like, yeah, sorry, my house burned down. What? I'm sorry. What are you doing in your spirit? What are you going through? Are you okay? What's happening? It's wild. But I am glad they continued it. But anyway, that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye.